Thank you, Mr Deputy Speaker. And what an utter gibberish. I just can't even get over how hopeless that contribution was from the architect, the latest energy minister of a government that produced 22 energy policies in 8 years. 22 energy policies in 8 years, and probably 23 when they killed their CEFC bill after the revolt from the member for New England and then the National Party room. Seriously, it takes a real skill to get rolled by the National Party room and Barnaby Joyce. It takes a real skill. Let's do some facts. To reach the -5% 2020 target that this government has signed up to, our emissions had to be 515 million tonnes per annum. Under Labor, we cut emissions over our 6 years by 93 million tonnes. Guess how much they cut emissions in this country by in the first 6 years of their government?
Not much.
6 million. 6 million.
That's one
6 million.
cow.
Absolutely. The only reason we reached the -5% target this year is because of the COVID recession. If the COVID recession hadn't wiped out 14 million tonnes from our emissions this year, we would have breached the -5% target they brag about. And what about the 2030 target? Well, their own figures admit that they're not going to meet it. Their own figures say that at best we'll be 22% below 2005 levels. We would have only cut emissions by 136 million tonnes compared to 2005 levels. And where have these 136 million tonnes come from? Well, again, it was nearly the 100 million tonnes cut by Labor when we were in power. Let me repeat that, 100 million tonnes of carbon pollution per year cut from our annual emissions. Secondly, this government revised the projections between 19 and 20 by 33 million tonnes. Well, what drove that reduction in emissions projections? First off, record installation of rooftop solar panels under Labor's RET that they tried to abolish, repeatedly tried to abolish, and under state Labor policies that they're opposed to. Yep. So they're claiming credit yet again for a policy they tried to abolish several times and state policies. Secondly, and this is the one I love, the emissions projection revisions also include 8 million tonnes of safe pollution from electric vehicles. Increased uptake of electric vehicles. What hypocrisy from the government. What hypocrisy. Who can't
stand for the weekend?
Who doesn't remember Michaela Cash's unhinged attack on Labor during the last election that somehow we're going to take away the weekend, we're going to take away tradies' use. And now they're claiming credit for increased electric vehicle uptake in this country, despite the fact that they have not a single policy to achieve it. Then there's some very suspicious figures around fugitive emissions going down, despite we've had a very significant increase in fugitive emissions over the last 4 or 5 years. So despite all those robbery figures, the government admits that they will only be at -22% by 2030, not the 28% they brag about. So how do they get to the -28%? They then claim, they just make it up, the member for Griffith's right, they make it up by claiming nearly another 100 million tonnes of abatement from the technology roadmap. Well, I've read the technology roadmap. It is as useful in this debate as a restaurant menu. It just says, hey, we've got all these wonderful all these wonderful technologies. We've got carbon capture and storage. We've got solar. We've got hydrogen. It says we've got all these great technologies, but it doesn't deliver a single policy to drive them. It doesn't deliver a single policy to drive those technologies that are suddenly going to provide this technology, the abatement through this technology. The truth is this government has no policies to cut pollution. All they can do is claim credit for Labor's policies when we're in government, claim credit for state policies driving record renewable energy investment, claim credit for recessions, the COVID recession, claim credit for that, and claim credit for electric vehicles coming up. This is the truth of this government. They are all spin, no substance when it comes to emissions policy, and as the member for Maman has pointed out with his contribution, they are sacrificing huge economic opportunities for this country, huge economic opportunities to grow jobs in things like battery manufacturing, lithium mining, using our great mining resources to supply the new industries of the future. That is what's being sacrificed, that is what is being betrayed by this government, betraying regions like mine that could be the centre of new power, as well as continuing to be the centres of other technologies, including export coal mining. This is what the future is under wise governments. But that's not what this government is doing. What this government is doing is pursuing an ideological obsession of putting nuclear power around the country under the National Party rule.